Ever notice how, even in calm moments, you feel like you're constantly waiting for something bad to happen? Or that your body feels like it's always on edge? That's not random. That's your nervous system stuck in survival mode. And if you grew up in a household with an alcoholic parent, this survival mode can actually become your normal state to be in. Today, I'm going to teach you one thing to help you come out of that survival mode, to help you find some safety in your body, and to help you feel less on edge on a daily basis. I'm Corey. I'm a qualified mind-body practitioner, and I work with adult children of alcoholics to help them come out of survival mode, rid themselves of that shame that they're constantly feeling, and finally take control of their lives. And today we're going to be talking about why you feel on edge all the time. Growing up in a household with an alcoholic parent means that you are constantly living in an environment that is sheer unpredictability. You do not know when the next blow up is going to occur. You do not know when your parent is going to do something that might impact you or your family. So you're constantly waiting for the next threat to appear. And this constant state of hypervigilance wreaks havoc on your nervous system. One minute you're dealing with an explosion, the next minute you're dealing with the silent treatment, and then the next minute all chaos erupts. This high stress, unpredictable environment wires your nervous system to stay on guard all the time. You're always scanning your environment for danger or for threats, even when there might not be any. And that's why, as an adult, you feel like you're on edge all the time. You feel like you're super overwhelmed in your body and you've got all of these anxiety symptoms. And you're hyper aware of the people around you and their moods and their emotions, constantly watching to see what they're going to do next. And that can be a conscious behavior that you're aware of, or a very unconscious one that you will actually just do naturally without even realizing you're doing it. And the hardest thing is, even when you leave that environment that you're in with your alcoholic parent, it doesn't mean that your body and your mind stop scanning for threats. And I'll give you an example. In my case, when I left Ireland and moved to Australia 5 years ago to escape the chaos, which was my alcoholic parent and that household that I was in, it wasn't that I landed in Australia and all of a sudden my nervous system just went like, It actually got worse. I landed in Australia, and for the 6 months that I was there, my mental health, my physical health really took a nosedive. It was like when I stepped out of that environment that was causing me so much pain and so much hurt, it nearly gave my body and my mind the permission to allow everything that didn't feel safe to come up in that environment start to show up in my life. And it was really, really difficult. So that's what I really want to kind of hone in on, is that even if you take yourself out of that like really scary and threatening and unpredictable environment, it doesn't mean that your nervous system will automatically find safety. We actually have to help it then to find safety and help it to come back to a regulated state, which I'm going to show you how to do in this video. So let's get into a little bit about the nervous system and what actually is it for those of you that don't know. So your nervous system, think of it like this, is like your built-in alarm system, and it's there in place to help protect you from danger. So if you come up against a robber on the street and they are trying to rob something from you, your nervous system will automatically kick in. And what will kick in is your fight or flight response, so your sympathetic state. And what this does, it gives you the energy and the strength and the opportunity to fight off your attacker or to run away. So to fight or to flight. And in this state, your heart rate will increase. Adrenaline and cortisol will start to rush through your body to really give you that extra power that you need. And your muscles will start to become tense, so in case you do need to fight or run away. And then after the threat is gone, so after the robber has disappeared, what kicks in then is your rest and digest state. So your parasympathetic nervous system. And what this does, it allows the body to come back to a state of calm. So it really brings that balance back into the body, because when your fight or flight kicks in, that takes over, and that's the state that you're operating from. So then when the threat disappears, the parasympathetic comes up to help bring your body back to that homeostasis state. Now, if we base it off the polyvagal theory, which I do in my practice and in my belief, is that there are 3 nervous system states, not just 2. And generally, people talk about the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. So your fight or flight and your rest and digest. But there is a 3rd state, and that is called the freeze state or shutdown. And this happens when we come up against a threat and we can try fight it off, or we may realize we can't escape from that threat, and all of a sudden we go into that like shutdown, frozen mode. And that's the body's natural response in trying to protect itself. So you might notice if you're watching any sort of African documentary about animals in the wild, and you'll see that the lion is chasing the antelope. So the antelope goes into fight or flight. It's trying to run, it's trying to escape, because it knows it can't fight the lion. But then what happens when the lion catches up with the antelope? It catches it. And you'll notice for the first couple of moments that the antelope will try to fight it off, and it will realize it can't. So what will happen is it will go into shutdown. It will go into this mode where it kind of looks like it's dead. Everything is really limp. And that's what happens to humans when we cannot escape a constant threat in our lives. So this is why people will present with depressive symptoms, because in that shutdown mode, it presents very much like depression. So you'll find people will go to the doctor and say, I'm really low mood, I'm just lack of energy, I'm unmotivated, I can't be bothered to get out of bed, I don't care about myself, I'm really closed off, like I just really don't care about anything. That really just feel yourself in this like locked in bubble. And there will be times when the doctor might ask, oh, have you had anything overwhelming? Have you grown up in a chaotic environment? Have you suffered with childhood trauma? And during that conversation, you may be able to get to the root and understand that you've grown up in this overwhelming situation and you couldn't run away and escape the threat or fight it off. So then your body had no other option than to shut down in a form of protecting you. So that is why I truly believe there's 3 states, because I have found myself in that freeze state. And it really presents for me in times where I'll have a discussion with my partner. Because I grew up in a household with a lot of volatility and a lot of shouting and a lot of arguments and a lot of aggression. If I get met with anything sort of similar to that, it does not have to be even on the same scale of what it used to be in childhood. If I get met with that by a male partner, my body's natural response is first go into fight or flight, so get straight on the defensive and straight in like fight mode. But then my body will realize I can't run away, because I can't just get up and leave the house, and I can't fight my partner. So the next solution for it is to shut down. So I find myself where I feel like my brain goes offline, and I feel like I can't think straight, I can't think rationally, everything just kind of goes blank. I feel really heavy in my body, and that's when I know I'm going into shutdown mode. So when you're thinking of your nervous system and when you're trying to understand your nervous system, look at it as a ladder, okay? And look at it as at the top you've got rest and digest. So that's your parasympathetic, that's where you're feeling relaxed and happy and calm and centered and energetic. That's your like where we kind of want to be on a daily basis. And then the second part down, you've got your fight or flight. So again, when you come up against a threat, or in our case as children of alcoholics, your alcoholic parent, and something scary happens at home, then your fight or flight will kick in. So you'll start to feel like irritated and aggressive and agitated and on edge and anxious feeling in your body. That real like I'm ready to kind of to take something on. And then if you can't get out of that, and that is like presenting over quite a period of time, you're constantly in that state and you can't get out of it, then you'll go into freeze. Then you're going to shut down, that really depressive state that you find yourself in. And in a healthy nervous system, so in someone whose nervous system is regulated and balanced, you will be able to move up and down those states each day, multiple times throughout the day. And not one state is better than the other. So I'm not saying fight or flight is bad or freeze is bad, because they serve a very important role in our bodies of protecting us and keeping us safe. But we want to make sure our nervous system is healthy enough that you can move up and down them throughout the day. The problems start to occur when you get stuck in either fight or flight or in freeze. Because when the on button for one of these states is constantly on, this is when you find it really difficult to relax. This is when you find it really difficult to find stillness. This is when you find it really difficult to not react, constantly being reactive to everything. Or this is when you find it really difficult to motivate yourself to do anything. This is how you find yourself just constantly feeling like pushed down and really low. And when your nervous system is dysregulated, it shows up in every area of your life. So it will show up in your mind as like constant anxiety or anxious feelings, or feeling on edge, really overactive thoughts, feeling depressed, feeling mentally numb, feeling mentally exhausted, insomnia. So when you are trying to sleep through the night, you'll find yourself waking up at about 2 or 3 a.m. with racing thoughts and unable to get back to sleep. It will show up in your body as digestive problems, so IBS symptoms or constipation, or it will show up like chronic pain or muscle tension. You might feel that you're constantly tense in your shoulders or in your back or in your neck, or you might feel like you're constantly like clenching your jaw and grinding your teeth at night, or migraines. So migraines are a really big one and have been a really big struggle for me for a very, very long time. It can also show up in the body as hormonal imbalances. So you might start to see that you're having some sort of hormonal imbalance. And you might find that your immune system is really weak and you feel like run down all the time, and you're constantly catching like colds or flus or different like viruses. And it will show up in your life. Like the one thing I see in my own life and in all of my clients' lives is the impact a dysregulated nervous system has on our lives. It makes it so difficult to live like a calm and happy and just balanced life, because when you're either in that state of like overwhelm, like being super on edge all the time, you're super reactive to the world around you. So you're super reactive to your partner, to your kids, to your friends, to your family. You're not really a nice person to be around all the time. It can show up in like your workplace. So you're really struggling to manage your workload or your relationships in work. It can show up that you're using maybe substances or negative coping mechanisms to self-soothe. So maybe you're relying on alcohol or drugs. A lot of people will smoke weed when they're feeling like really overwhelmed because it helps them feel calm. Like it's the only thing that will give them that sense of like feeling a little bit chill. Or people might use food to self-soothe, or multiple different things to help them feel some sort of calmness in their daily life. And just feeling overall numb, like just feeling really, really numb about life and not feeling happy, not feeling excited, not feeling content or fulfilled, just feeling kind of like you're just there. So I want to invite you to pause now for a moment and really just reflect. Do you notice any of these characteristics or symptoms in your own life? Do you notice yourself getting dysregulated? Are you able to notice that you have a dysregulated nervous system? So even pause the video, and even if you've got a journal or a piece of paper or on your phone, jot down how you think your dysregulated nervous system may be showing up in your life. How is it impacting your mind? How is it impacting your body? How is it impacting your life in general? And if you are noticing that these things are very similar to what's going on in your own life, I want you to know that you're not broken. There's not something wrong with you, okay? You're not sick. You're just struggling with a very dysregulated nervous system, which is a very normal response to growing up in the environment that you grew up in, okay? You are not broken. Your body is just doing what it was designed to do, and that is to keep you safe. So let's get into what's one thing that you can do to help find some safety in your body and to help really reduce that feeling of being on edge. And the first step is the most important one. And when it comes to regulating your nervous system, you can't just tell yourself to calm down. Like that just doesn't work, okay? But there is one step that you can do, and that is awareness. Becoming aware of how dysregulation is showing up in your life. Because until we become aware of what it looks like in our daily lives, but then how are we meant to take any action to change it? So if you're not aware that your nervous system is causing you to be reactive in your relationship, if you're not aware of what it feels like to become dysregulated, then how are you meant to know what you need to do to actually help yourself make change. So for the next week, I want you to practice something called neuroception. And it's exactly what I just talked about. The ability to be aware of what nervous system state you are in. So what I want you to do is simply just notice. Now, this is not about doing more. A lot of nervous system regulation work is not always about doing. It's about recognizing. Okay, it's about being able to find some stillness. So what I want you to do is over the next week, recognize when you feel anxious. When are you feeling on edge? When are you feeling shut down and really depressive symptoms? When do you maybe start to see some physical symptoms when you get dysregulated? Are you noticing your hands get shaky? Is your breath and your heart rate increasing? Do you get a flushed face? Do you feel your mind go blank? What are the physical things that are showing up that is giving you the warning signs you're getting dysregulated? I want you to say to yourself, I am becoming dysregulated. That's all. I want you to say and bring the awareness in that moment when you feel it, I am becoming dysregulated. And that's it. There is no need to change anything just yet. The goal is to observe. The goal is to become so in tune with your body that you know exactly when you're moving into dysregulation. And then when you know you're moving into it, that's when we can start to introduce different tools, different practices, different actions for you to implement to then help yourself come out of dysregulation. Your nervous system has most likely been stuck in survival for a very long time, but shifting out of that state is possible. It takes patience, it takes consistency, and most importantly, it takes awareness of yourself and of your body. So I'd love to hear from you. When was the last time you noticed yourself becoming dysregulated? Are you able to notice yourself become dysregulated? And if so, what does that look like for you in your life? I would love to hear from you and hear your experiences so we can chat about it in the comments. So please, if you've got anything to share, if you can relate to this video, if you're a child of an alcoholic and you notice that your nervous system is controlling your life, pop a comment below and let's chat about it. And if this video resonated with you, please give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and keep an eye out for more videos that will show you some tools to help you take control of your life and break the cycle of alcoholism for good.